Every time you break that promise yourself and you're keeping promises to other people, their poor planning now becomes your emergency. You are indirectly telling yourself that you are not important. You are indirectly telling yourself that you are not worthy or you're not worth it. It's not fair. Please look after yourself, take care of yourself. Last week, I gave you the vision and framework. But sis, we cannot execute this thing if we're tired. So before we go any further, let's talk about our energy. You are listening to Anxious for Nothing with Bimpe, where together we overcome struggles with people pleasing and perfectionism so that we can truly value ourselves and create time to progress in all areas of our lives. I'll be sharing with you my personal experience using agile IT systems for prioritization, especially when family, work, life, health, finances, and our faith all collide into one. And most importantly, how to affirm our faith and identity in Christ during the storm, not just after it passes. Join me. This is time management like you've never known it before. Let's get started. New here, welcome. So glad you found us. Welcome to Anxious for Nothing. All of us here, we are anxious for nothing. This month, we are focusing on one thing. We're going to be focusing on building, yeah? Today's episode, we're going to be looking into that. Because I want to talk about something that I feel does not get enough airtime in our community, and that is self-care. Yes. So before you roll your eyes and think, oh, I'm going to start talking to you about spas because I do love a spa. Stay with me, yeah? But what I'm going to talk about is more foundational than that. In fact, it's going to determine whether we execute everything that we've been discussing this month, and especially that vision that I told you to write down last week. If you've not listened to last week's episode, after this one, please go back and listen to it, Sha, and write down that vision, yeah? Very important. So I want to talk to you about something that happened to me several years back, before we moved into this new house. And it's something that has sort of like stayed with me, that I've thought about a lot. I remember coming home one evening after work, it's around about 6 p.m. at night. And as soon as the lift door makes its noise, opens on the floor, my boys, because we lived in like a high rise, my boys would hear the lift and then they would know that I'm coming home, and they'll just be waiting behind the door for me, waiting for me to open the door. As soon as I open the door, they go, Mom, and they'll give me a big, massive hug. And, like they wanted my attention because, they've been in school all day. They've come back home from school or nursery, shall I say at the time. And they've come back home from nursery and they're waiting to see me. But for me, I had been up from like maybe 5, 6 in the morning, getting myself ready, getting them ready to go to school or to drop them off at nursery because, there's 3 of them. You'll be going to all of these 3 different places before finally getting public transport to get to work. And I had to be at work at 8:30. So you drop them off at Breakfast Club. And then I would finish work about maybe around 4:30, maybe just have half an hour lunch so I can finish work at 4:30 and get home. Maybe sometimes I pick them up or sometimes their dad picked them up and get ready for dinner. And then when I get home, read to them, get dinner ready, prepare for the next day. I was just exhausted, Where's the time gone? I'm exhausted. So that was kind of like my day, most days, all the time on repeat. So you'd be thinking, where is the time, Shah, to even do anything? And like I said, we were in a 2-bedroom flat at the time. My husband and I both worked, and our salaries were not even enough for us to buy a studio flat in London because house prices in London are just so expensive. And, we have 3 boys, and we knew that even though they were young then, they were small, all 3 of them can stay in 1 bedroom, but they were growing. So we had to think ahead, think and build, plan, Sha. So our boys were growing, at some point they're going to need space. And the only way to create space was for us to create time to improve ourselves in order to be able to build. So for me, that meant I had to upskill to get a higher paid job because in the organization I was in, they were not giving out promotion. Well, maybe they were giving them out, but me, I was not getting the promotion no matter how many times I applied. I was not getting the promotions there. And aside from that, I needed to get a higher paid role because there's only so much you can save. There's always going to be a cap on how much you can save, but there is never going to be a cap on how much you can earn, how much you can make. Or if you're still in employment, there's always going to be a cap within the band you're in, within your salary band cap. In essence, you can't have a cap on how much you can earn. There's no ceiling on that, especially if you're in business. There's no ceiling on that. But if you have a 9 to 5, if you're capped by your salary band, you have to go and apply for another job or, get higher paid role. If you want to move to the next pay band or the next pay grade, who wants to be putting in, but if you have your own business, there's no caps on your earning. So the action I took was to create time to start learning. And that meant I had to be strict with these boys. You know, I had to make sure that they're in bed by 8 o'clock so that I can have at least an hour to myself to be able to do certain things. So, you know, I had to cut down the scrolling time. I had to cut out EastEnders. That's what I was watching back then. I don't watch EastEnders now. I could tell. I've actually dated myself, haven't I? So I used that time to build. And as a result, like I said, I was able to get a better paid role, apply for better paid jobs. And if you've been listening to me for a while, you know my story. I've been promoted and promoted since, and now in senior management. But to get there, it required being honest and having to know how to prioritize, and prioritizing my learning and prioritizing my growth, which some people you may see it as selfish, but me, I don't see it as selfish. So let me be very clear on the difference, because in the last episode, I said in this episode, I will break down the difference between selfish and self-care. And there is a difference, trust me, yeah? So listen clear. Those of you at the back, oh yeah, sumo waju, come closer. Selfishness or selfish people, they have already achieved that thing. They've already built, they're already there. They're already, you know, so they've already achieved, they've already arrived, they've already overcome that limitation, you know. But what they're doing is they're holding others back. You know, you will not do better than me. You will not reach there. Or but or debe, you know, all of those sort of things. That's what selfishness is. You're deliberately choosing to gatekeep, not share information, not wanting people to reach there or get there. You have reached, you have done there, but you now pull up the ladder. That is selfishness. When you can actually help someone, but you're not helping them, you're choosing not to because, you know, they can't be like me. I must be the only one. In me, I must be the only one. That is selfishness. But self-care is different. And let me tell you what self-care is, yeah? Self-care is like, you know, you've got limitations. You've not built yet, you've not arrived yet, but you want to arrive, you want to build, you're very aware of your limitations, and you're taking time to build yourself up, to plug those holes, to plug those gaps. That is self-care. You realize that you need to rest, you're stressed, your body needs rest, so you're taking time to rest. That is not selfishness, that is self-care. You know, we cannot run on empty, my friend. You know, these people, they will not kill us. Please, Edjo. You know, what is the saying in Yoruba? Makani, whatever it is. Please don't laugh. I'm still learning my Yoruba, dear. You know, I'm coming there, but please, you know, that is self-care. Self-care is like, you've not reached that level yet, but you're building your way, yourself up there. You want to reach there as well. And the thing, and the big difference is somebody that is looking at self-care and is not selfish is when they reach that place, when you get to that top, you are the person that is stretching your hand out. Oh yeah, come, you know, be by. You're bringing, you know, you're bringing people closer to you. You're telling people to come and join you as well. You're the one that is not gatekeeping. You're the one that is sharing out information. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. Because the one thing I always say to my friends is like, I don't want to reach the top, be there enjoying, and I don't have my friends. I don't have my people around me that want to share with me. What is that? That's not life. We need community. So that is what self-care is, because somebody that is self-caring, that is looking after themselves, when they get there, they're going to show you how to get there because they want you to get there too. And taking time for yourself, please, Edjo, it is not selfish, yeah? Even our Savior, Jesus Christ, he took time away from the crowd to be quiet, to be alone, have some alone time with God, to reflect. He took time as well. He pulled away. He pulled away to rest, to pray, to reflect. You know, you can see it in Luke 5:16. Jesus regularly pulled away from the crowds and rested. It is not a weakness and it is not selfish. And I'm sure it's what Jesus used to sustain him. You know, how do you think it managed to resist the devil in the 40 days in the desert? My man was reflecting, taking time with himself to rest, to build himself up. You know, he built himself up in the word. It says it, you know, the lad grew in the word. So if Christ took time to build himself up so that he can give to us and pour out into us, you know, why are we running ourselves dry? Why are we running on empty? And there is research to back this up. I talk about this in my previous episode about mental load. I'll put the link in the description about how, you know, burnout affects mothers more than fathers. And I talked about it as well, how, especially if you're a black mum in corporate, you got boys. Hey, the burnout is real. We need to rest. We need to take time to look after ourselves and take care of ourselves and replenish. Now, what does this look like? It doesn't have to be expensive, Sha. You know, come on. It can be something that is accessible for you, something that is repeatable for you. It could be getting your nails done. It could be, you know, going to the hairdressers. It could be going out for a walk, just slowing down, doing one thing instead of doing two things at the same time. So here are a couple of things that I do to replenish myself, self-care, reflect, which is all useful and part of building. It's like I have a period of time, like maybe like 20 minutes before I enter the house. Maybe like I get back from work, I might just sit in a car for 20 minutes before entering the house, because Sha, when you enter the house, now another work did there for you, you know what I mean? Like, so I just take that time in a car to just rest, reflect, maybe listen to a podcast or just still my mind, just have no devices. Or for you, it could be like maybe going for a walk, something just to refresh, re-energize yourself, or have a cup of tea, have a break, whatever it is. Me, I like to drink my ginger tea. So, but use that time to just reflect, to build, think about your career, think about your health, think about what you want out of life. Give yourself permission to imagine, to dream, to think big, that vision that we talked about last week. And then another thing you can do, which I do actively, is time blocking. Give everything a time. We do a lot of time blocking for work. You have to be at this meeting at this time. You have to pick up this child at this time. This child's football practice runs to this time. This one's swimming lesson, this one's tutoring. We do time blocking for everyone else, but time block for yourself, time block for your vision, time block for your dream, time block for a beat. I'm going to get my nails done and I'm going to use that time to just watch a film or chill or listen to a podcast like this one and relax. And if you've not been using your diary, start to make proper use of your diary. That is your best friend, because you can start to have accountability for where your time is going, or use a project app like I use, Trello. There's several things you can do. So here is the action for this week. Think of one thing that just fills you up, that just energizes you. And I want you to do that one thing. It doesn't have to be expensive here. I'm not saying go and buy Ashwabi and go to party. Just one thing that fills you up, yeah, and that you can do regularly, that energizes you. Sometimes I go to Crumbs and treat myself to a cookie and pretend that I'm a tourist when I'm there and on my way home from work. And I buy that cookie and I just enjoy it, because the cookies are so expensive. Who's got time for that? The only people that were buying that are tourists. But sometimes I just, once a month, every now and then, I could treat myself to it. Whatever you promise yourself, please keep those promises you made to yourself. Whether it's I'm going to go for a walk, or whether it's I'm going to buy this thing, or I'm going to watch this, I'm going to relax. Please do not break the promises that you make to yourself. It's so important, especially for your self-worth and who you are, because essentially every time you break that promise yourself and you're keeping promises to other people that call you at a drop of a hat, that their emergency, their poor planning now becomes your emergency, you are indirectly telling yourself that you are not important. Yeah. You are indirectly telling yourself that you are not worthy or you're not worth it. Yeah. It's not fair. Please look after yourself. Take care of yourself. I mean, the cookie is expensive. It's £4. It's £3 something. It's a lot of money, those cookies from Crumbs, but I'm worth more than £4. Yeah. So I will buy that cookie and enjoy it. And that's my little treat for myself once a month. So whatever it is, I know that's something small, but whatever it is, that promise you make for yourself, I want you to keep it and honor yourself. You are worthy. Christ died for you on the cross. So be good to yourself, look after yourself, keep those promises that you've made to yourself. I said, I've made a promise to myself that every 3 months I am going on a spa. I must be doing something. Whether my girls want to follow me or they don't want to follow me, Shibi, I must do something, because, I have to look after myself. I have to treat myself. So whatever that promise is that you promised yourself, I want to know. I want to hear about it. Come and follow me on TikTok and chat to me what that promise was that you kept yourself. And on that, I want to just move on quickly about the travel business that I've been doing. That travel business was born out of a promise that I made to myself, that every 3 months, I must do something. Whether it's a spa in a hotel, I must do something. The fact that I get commission back, you know me. I'm always looking for make sure that my money is making money. In fact, every pound in my money, it makes money, and the money must make money. So when I saw this travel business opportunity, I jumped on it, because I'm a certified travel agent. I book travel for other people, I get commission. I book travel for myself, I get commission. And I can share this opportunity with so many other like-minded women like me. Us women, we work hard. It's important that we take time to rest and treat ourselves. So other women that are into looking after their health, looking into building community. I want to earn money while traveling. Shelby, come and join me. So that's why I joined this community. That's why I started this business and this company, because it's an opportunity for me to rest, really rest, and it's something that fits so easy within my day-to-day life. I spend like maybe an hour a day on it, not too long, and you just do it on your phone, introducing the business to other people that are like-minded, that want to do the same thing as you. Don't gatekeep. If the person is not interested, fine. This is not their time. These things about timing, knowing when it's the right time for people. So if you had asked me about this 10 years ago, maybe I would have said no. But after everything that's been happening in my life, I'm like, this baby girl, we need to build in rest. And if we can rest and earn money at the same time, why not? Also, like my husband and I, we have this thing that we do every 5 years. Every 5 years, we do like a review, a retreat, and we travel to do it. So this travel business is coming in handy for that. I have said to him for our 20-year anniversary, which is coming up in 2 years' time, this guy, a boy, we're going on a cruise, we're and we're going to do our 5-year planning on a cruise. I've had that vision. I've written it down. I've got the date. And it's good because traveling is not just about escaping for me. It's about refueling, refueling myself, restoring, coming back refreshed. And it's good to start from rest, not to work towards rest. So if all of that resonated with you, check me out on TikTok. Come and find me on TikTok. Let's have a conversation. Let's chat. Let's see how you can make this work for you as well. So before we go, I just want to say protecting our time is not optional, okay? It is an essential. It is a necessity. Rest is not a reward. It's not that I'm going to rest when I sleep. No. Please, rest is essential, especially for us women that are carrying lots of mental load, and self-care. It is not selfish. I've already explained the difference to you, what is selfish and what is self-care. One is gatekeeping, one is not gatekeeping. One is building yourself up. One, they've already built, but they're better. They don't want anybody else to get there or to reach where they are as well. Yeah, there's a big difference. So next week is going to be the final episode for this month of May, looking at building. And we're going to close this season by taking action. I hope you've already taken action from last week where I told you to go and write down that vision. Better write it down. Yeah, you have the system. We talked about the mindset today. And next week, we're going to finalize everything, okay? You do not need to take permission or wait for permission, okay? We're not children. We're not 5 years old. You're not in school where you're putting your hand up saying, Miss, can I? No, give yourself permission. And if you can't give yourself permission, Emi, I'm giving you permission. Go and say that Nanja British girl from the podcast, Bimpe, told me to go and do it. Told me to go and start building, yeah? Blame me if you need to. I don't care. My shoulders are broad. I have Jesus. I can take it. And if you've not subscribed, please go and subscribe. What are you waiting for? Kilo Day, go and subscribe. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Spotify, and I'm also on Apple Podcasts. Wherever you're listening to this podcast on, subscribe on a platform that you are listening to. And remember, you are anxious for nothing, okay? And when you win, trust me, everybody else is winning. Look forward to seeing you next week, Tuesday. Take care. God bless.